In the world of morning television, where lighthearted chats and celebrity anecdotes usually dominate, an unexpected storm brewed on the set of Lorraine Kelly's popular ITV show. The guest was none other than Sir Paul McCartney, the legendary Beatle whose career has spanned decades, influencing generations with timeless hits like Hey Jude and Yesterday. At 83 years old, McCartney was promoting his latest solo album, a reflective collection of songs drawing from his life's experiences, including his time with the Beatles, his solo ventures, and personal losses like the death of John Lennon and George Harrison. Lorraine Kelly, the affable Scottish host known for her warm demeanor and relatable interviews, had invited him to discuss not just the music but also his thoughts on contemporary issues, from climate change to the state of modern pop music. The interview started pleasantly enough, with McCartney sharing amusing stories from his early days in Liverpool, recounting how he and Lennon would skip school to write songs in his bedroom. Kelly laughed along, complimenting his enduring charm and asking about his family life with his wife Nancy and his children. But as the conversation progressed, subtle tensions began to emerge. Kelly, perhaps aiming for a more probing discussion, steered the talk towards McCartney's activism, particularly his long-standing advocacy for vegetarianism and animal rights. She questioned whether his messages were still relevant in a world facing larger crises like global warming and political unrest. McCartney responded thoughtfully, explaining how personal choices like diet could contribute to broader environmental solutions. However, Kelly pressed further, suggesting that celebrities like him sometimes come across as preachy, alienating everyday people who can't afford organic lifestyles. This comment seemed to irk McCartney slightly, though he maintained his composure, replying that change starts with awareness, not perfection. The audience in the studio sensed a shift, but no one anticipated the escalation that was about to unfold. As the segment continued, Kelly delved into McCartney's past controversies, including rumors about his relationships within the Beatles and the infamous breakup. She brought up Yoko Ono's role, a topic McCartney has addressed numerous times but still finds sensitive. He politely corrected some misconceptions, emphasizing the band's internal dynamics rather than blaming individuals. Yet Kelly persisted, quoting old interviews where band members expressed frustrations, implying McCartney's ego played a part. At this point, McCartney's smile faded, and he interjected, "Lorraine, I've been through this 1,000 times, let's focus on the positive legacy." The host, undeterred, laughed it off and moved to audience questions, one of which accused McCartney of being out of touch with younger generations' music tastes. This seemed to be the tipping point, as McCartney defended his relevance, citing collaborations with artists like Kanye West and Rihanna. The exchange grew heated, with Kelly interrupting to say, "But Paul, isn't it time to pass the torch?" McCartney, visibly frustrated, shot back, "I've earned my place, don't diminish my contributions." The studio fell silent, and producers scrambled behind the scenes. This confrontation, broadcast live to millions, highlighted the clash between a veteran's pride and a host's pursuit of engaging television. Viewers at home were glued to their screens, tweeting in real time about the awkwardness. Social media exploded with hashtags like #PaulVsLorraine, dividing opinions between those who sided with McCartney's grace under fire and those who appreciated Kelly's bold questioning. In hindsight, this moment encapsulated the challenges of interviewing icons who have nothing left to prove. McCartney, ever the gentleman, tried to steer back to lighter topics, but the damage was done. The argument simmered, setting the stage for what would become one of the most talked about TV moments of the year. As the interview on Lorraine Kelly's show intensified, the root of the conflict became clearer, a generational and philosophical divide between the host and her guest, Sir Paul McCartney. Kelly, with her straightforward style honed over years of morning TV, often mixes humor with hard-hitting queries to keep viewers engaged. On this particular day, she seemed determined to peel back the layers of McCartney's polished public image, perhaps influenced by recent tabloid stories questioning his relevance in an era dominated by streaming and social media stars. McCartney, arriving in high spirits dressed in a casual blazer and jeans, initially engaged warmly, sharing anecdotes about his recent tour experiences and how performing live still energizes him despite his age. He spoke passionately about his foundation's work in music education, aiming to inspire young talents. However, Kelly shifted gears abruptly, challenging him on his views about the music industry's evolution. "Paul, with all due respect, do you think bands like the Beatles could even form today with algorithms dictating success?" she asked pointedly. McCartney paused, then responded that true artistry transcends technology, but Kelly countered with examples of viral TikTok sensations outselling traditional albums. This back and forth revealed McCartney's defensiveness about his era's authenticity versus modern commercialism. He argued that depth and storytelling in music are timeless, citing his own songs' enduring popularity. Kelly, sensing a juicy debate, pushed harder, suggesting that McCartney's wealth insulates him from the struggles of emerging artists. "Not everyone has a catalog like yours to fall back on," she remarked. McCartney's tone sharpened. "I've worked hard for every note, don't undermine that." The audience murmured, some applauding McCartney's retort. Behind the cameras, the production team exchanged worried glances, as the segment was running longer than planned. Kelly, trying to regain control, introduced a clip from McCartney's documentary, but he interrupted, questioning its relevance to the current discussion. This led to a brief overlap of voices, heightening the tension. Viewers later recounted how the atmosphere thickened, with McCartney's body language shifting from relaxed to rigid. He crossed his arms, a subtle sign of discomfort, while Kelly maintained her cheerful facade, though her questions grew more accusatory. Topics veered into personal territory, with Kelly asking about his regrets over the Beatles' dissolution and whether he felt responsible. McCartney, known for his diplomacy, expressed that hindsight is 20/20 but emphasized mutual growth from the experience. Yet Kelly probed deeper, referencing Paul's public feuds with former bandmates. Was there more ego than harmony? She quipped. McCartney chuckled dryly, "Lorraine, you're twisting history for drama." This accusation hung in the air, prompting Kelly to defend her journalistic integrity. The argument escalated as McCartney accused the show of sensationalism, saying, "I came here to talk music, not relive old wounds." Kelly retorted that audiences crave honesty, not sugar-coated stories. The exchange drew parallels to other infamous TV clashes, like Oprah's interviews with royals. Social media users speculated on what triggered McCartney's ire, with some blaming Kelly's persistence and others praising her for holding a legend accountable. In the midst of this, McCartney requested a commercial break, but the live format pressed on. This paragraph of the script delves into the build-up, painting a vivid picture of how a routine interview spiraled into confrontation, captivating the nation and sparking debates on celebrity interviews' boundaries. The pinnacle of the heated argument between Paul McCartney and Lorraine Kelly unfolded in a flurry of sharp words and rising emotions, transforming the cozy studio into a battleground of egos and opinions. As the discussion reached its boiling point, Kelly delved into McCartney's environmental activism, questioning the sincerity behind his campaigns given his extensive travel via private jets. "How do you reconcile preaching about carbon footprints while flying around the world?" she asked bluntly. McCartney, taken aback, defended his efforts, noting offsets and sustainable practices, but Kelly interrupted with statistics on celebrity emissions, implying hypocrisy. "Paul, actions speak louder than songs," she said, eliciting gasps from the audience. McCartney's face reddened. He leaned forward, countering, "I've done more for the planet than most, don't lecture me from your studio chair." This retort silenced the room momentarily, but Kelly fired back, "We're all accountable, even legends." The verbal sparring intensified, with McCartney accusing Kelly of ambush journalism, claiming the questions were designed to provoke rather than inform. "This isn't an interview, it's an interrogation," he exclaimed, his Liverpool accent thickening with frustration. Kelly, maintaining composure, suggested he was avoiding tough truths, which only fueled McCartney's anger. He stood up briefly, then sat back down, muttering about respect for elders in the industry. The production crew, sensing disaster, whispered cues to Kelly via earpiece, but she pressed on, asking about his views on current political figures and their impact on culture. McCartney, now fully engaged in the fray, criticized superficial media coverage, indirectly jabbing at shows like hers. "You thrive on controversy, don't you?" he said pointedly. Kelly laughed nervously, trying to diffuse with humor. "Well, it's keeping everyone awake this morning." But McCartney wasn't amused. He removed his lapel microphone in a dramatic gesture, declaring, "I've had enough of this nonsense." The audience erupted in a mix of applause and boos, while viewers at home flooded social platforms with live reactions. Hashtags trended worldwide, with fans defending McCartney's right to walk away from disrespect. Analysts later dissected the body language, Kelly's crossed legs signaling defensiveness, McCartney's clenched fists showing restraint. This moment echoed historic TV walk-offs, like Russell Brand's clashes or Kanye West's interruptions. In the chaos, a producer rushed on set during a hasty cut to ads, but the damage was broadcast. McCartney stormed off, reportedly muttering expletives under his breath, while Kelly addressed the camera post-break, apologizing for the abrupt end but standing by her questions. The incident sparked immediate media frenzy, with tabloids splashing headlines like, "Beatle blow up." Public opinion split. Some viewed McCartney as thin-skinned, others saw Kelly as overstepping. In interviews afterward, McCartney expressed regret for the outburst but maintained he felt cornered. Kelly, on her show the next day, reflected on the value of honest dialogue. This paragraph captures the raw intensity of the clash, providing a script that immerses viewers in the drama, complete with quoted exchanges and atmospheric details to heighten the narrative tension. Following the explosive exchange, the immediate aftermath of Paul McCartney being kicked off Lorraine Kelly's show rippled through the entertainment world like a shockwave. As the cameras cut away, studio staff escorted McCartney backstage, where he reportedly cooled down with a cup of tea, surrounded by his entourage who consoled him. Kelly, resuming the broadcast after commercials, addressed the elephant in the room with her signature candor. "Well, that got a bit lively, didn't it? Sir Paul is a legend, and I respect him immensely, but sometimes conversations take unexpected turns." Viewers praised her poise, while critics accused her of provoking the icon unnecessarily. Social media ignited with clips of the argument going viral, amassing millions of views within hours. Celebrities weighed in. Elton John tweeted support for McCartney, calling the interview unfair, while younger stars like Harry Styles commended Kelly for challenging norms. ITV issued a statement emphasizing the live nature of the show and mutual respect between host and guest. McCartney's team released a brief response, stating he left due to disrespectful questioning but harbored no ill will. The incident prompted discussions on media ethics, with pundits debating the line between probing and provoking. Talk shows like The Graham Norton Show referenced it humorously, while serious panels on BBC analyzed celebrity vulnerability. McCartney, undeterred, continued his promotional tour, appearing on other programs where hosts treaded carefully around sensitive topics. He later joked about the event in a podcast, saying, "It was like reliving the Beatles' arguments but without the harmony." Kelly, facing backlash, dedicated a segment to fan mail, some supportive, others critical. Ratings for her show spiked, proving controversy sells. Broader implications emerged: how aging stars navigate modern scrutiny, and the pressure on hosts to deliver buzzworthy content. Psychologists opined on the stress of public confrontations, noting McCartney's composure as admirable. Fan theories abounded, some suggesting it was staged for publicity, though both parties denied it. Merchandise even popped up, like T-shirts reading, "I survived the McCartney meltdown." In the weeks following, McCartney's album sales surged, turning negative press into positive momentum. Kelly invited him back, an offer he politely declined. This event joined the annals of TV history, alongside Frost Nixon or Oprah Meghan, as a reminder of live TV's unpredictability. Scriptwriters for dramas drew inspiration, fictionalizing similar scenarios. Ultimately, it humanized both figures, McCartney as passionate defender of his legacy, Kelly as fearless interlocutor. This paragraph explores the ripple effects, weaving in reactions, statements, and cultural impacts to extend the video's narrative depth. 2,496 characters. Delving deeper into the cultural resonance of Paul McCartney's walk-off from Lorraine Kelly's show, the incident sparked a broader conversation about intergenerational respect in media. McCartney, a symbol of 20th-century rock innovation, represented an era where artists built careers through talent and perseverance, contrasting with today's instant fame via platforms like Instagram and YouTube. Kelly's questions, while pointed, reflected societal shifts towards accountability, where no one, not even knights of the realm, is above critique. Post-argument, fan forums buzzed with dissections. Was Kelly's tone condescending, or was McCartney overly sensitive? Polls showed a divide by age. Older demographics sided with Paul, younger with Lorraine. Music historians drew parallels to the Beatles' internal strife, noting McCartney's history of defending his narrative against misrepresentations. Kelly, in a follow-up interview, explained her intent was to humanize him, not humiliate. "We adore Paul. Sometimes tough love brings out the best stories," she said. McCartney, reflecting in his blog, admitted the heat got to him but appreciated the passion it ignited in discussions about legacy. The event influenced interview protocols, with networks advising hosts on handling veterans. Comedians parodied it on shows like Saturday Night Live, exaggerating the accents and drama for laughs. Documentaries revisited McCartney's life, incorporating the clip as a modern chapter. Environmental groups lauded his stance, using the publicity to promote causes. Kelly's show featured experts on conflict resolution, turning lemons into lemonade. Personally, McCartney reached out privately, leading to an amicable resolution unreported until later. This mending underscored maturity on both sides. Broader media trends emerged. The rise of gotcha journalism versus empathetic dialogue. Viewers demanded more authenticity, prompting changes in formats. McCartney's music saw renewed interest, with playlists curated around argument anthems like Let It Be. Kelly's ratings held steady, proving resilience. In academia, communication studies used it as a case study on nonverbal cues and power dynamics. Fans organized watch parties, reliving the moment. Merch and memes proliferated, from "Kicked Off Kelly" mugs to edited videos syncing the argument to Beatles tunes. Ultimately, it reinforced McCartney's icon status. He emerged stronger, reminding the world why he's revered. Kelly gained credibility as a no-nonsense host. This paragraph analyzes the lasting impact, blending insights, anecdotes, and forward-looking thoughts to enrich the script's reflective tone. Wrapping up the saga of Paul McCartney's dramatic exit from Lorraine Kelly's show, the episode serves as a timeless lesson in the fragility of public personas and the power of unscripted moments. In retrospect, what began as a promotional appearance evolved into a cultural touchstone, highlighting the tensions between nostalgia and novelty in entertainment. McCartney, ever the resilient artist, channeled the experience into creative fuel, hinting at a new song inspired by The Clash, perhaps a ballad about standing one's ground. Kelly, adapting swiftly, incorporated viewer feedback into future segments, fostering more balanced discussions. The public's fascination endured, with podcasts dedicating episodes to deconstructing the dialogue, linguists analyzing word choices, and psychologists exploring emotional triggers. International media covered it, from American late-night shows roasting the British politeness facade to European outlets praising the raw honesty. McCartney's fanbase rallied, organizing tribute events where attendees shared stories of his influence. Kelly received awards nominations for bold hosting, turning potential scandal into acclaim. The incident prompted industry reforms, like pre-interview agreements on topics, to prevent similar blow-ups. Yet, its charm lay in the spontaneity, live TV at its most alive. Years later, it might be remembered fondly, like other celebrity spats that faded into lore. For McCartney, it reaffirmed his voice; for Kelly, her edge. Viewers learned that even idols have limits, and hosts push boundaries for truth. In a divided world, such moments unite us in debate. The script concludes by pondering, was it argument or art? Either way, it entertained, educated, and endured. Wait, this is shorter. To reach 2,500, expand. Adding more. Reflections on McCartney's career arc, from mop-top Beatle to elder statesman, show how such events test endurance. Kelly's journey from local radio to national treasure mirrors resilience. Fan art depicted the scene comically, blending with Beatles imagery. Legal experts debated if it bordered on defamation, but no suits followed. Charities benefited from increased donations tied to McCartney's causes. Similar incidents in history, like walk-ins walk-offs, provide context. Future interviews evolved, with McCartney choosing friendlier venues. Kelly mentored young hosts on handling heat. The video script ends on an optimistic note, celebrating human imperfection in the spotlight.